The sun blazed down on Accra like a relentless taskmaster, its heat scorching the tar roads until they shimmered like black mirrors. Amma trudged along the bustling streets of OSU, her bare feet toughened by years of walking on burning asphalt. She was 12 or maybe 13, she wasn't sure anymore. Time blurred when every day was a fight to fill an empty belly. Her faded wrapper clung to her thin frame, patched in places where the fabric had given up, and her arms ached from carrying a battered basin of sachet water balanced on her head. "Pure water. Cold water," she called out, her voice hoarse from shouting since dawn. The city pulsed around her. Cars honked, traders haggled, and well-dressed men and women hurried past in their shiny shoes and starched clothes. They barely glanced at her, their eyes sliding over her like she was part of the pavement. To them, she was just another street hawker, invisible unless they needed something cheap. Amma stopped near a busy junction, lowering the basin to wipe sweat from her brow. Her stomach growled, a sharp pang reminding her she hadn't eaten since yesterday's stale bread. She clutched the few pesewas in her pocket, hard-earned coins from hours of selling under the sun. Not enough for a proper meal, but maybe a small ball of kenki if she bargained hard. A sleek black SUV rolled by, its tinted windows reflecting the chaos of the street. Amma watched it slow down, and a woman stepped out, dripping in wealth. Her Ankara dress shimmered with gold threads, and her heels clicked sharply against the ground. She carried shopping bags emblazoned with names Amma couldn't pronounce. Big, fancy stores she'd never dared step into. The woman's perfume wafted through the air, sweet and heavy, a stark contrast to the dust and sweat that clung to Amma's skin. "Please, madam," Amma said, stepping forward with her small hand outstretched. "I no chop since yesterday. Small money for food. A beg." Her voice trembled, but she pushed the words out, desperation stronger than shame. The woman turned, her painted lips curling into a sneer. "Get away from me, you dirty thing," she snapped, clutching her bags tighter. "You think I'm your bank? Go find work instead of begging." Amma's heart sank, but she tried again, her voice softer. "I day sell water, madam. I fit work for you, carry your bags, clean your car. Anything. Just small help, a beg." The woman's eyes narrowed, her gold earrings glinting as she shook her head. "Work? Look at you, filthy, stinking. You probably carry lice and disease." "Security!" she shouted, her voice shrill enough to turn heads. "Get this girl away from me." Amma stumbled back, her bare feet catching on a crack in the pavement. She didn't want trouble, not with the security men who roamed these streets, their batons always ready. But the woman's words cut deeper than any blow, slicing through the fragile hope she'd clung to all day. The crowd thickened around Amma like flies to spilled palm wine, their murmurs buzzing in the humid air. She clutched her basin tighter, her knuckles whitening as the woman, Madam S.I. she'd heard someone call her, stepped closer, her heels clicking like a drumbeat of doom. "You think you can touch me?" Madame S.I. spat, yanking her arm away as if Amma's fingers were poison. "This dress cost more than your whole life, you little rat." "Security, where are you? This thief is harassing me." "I no be thief," Amma cried, her voice cracking as tears stung her eyes. "I just want food, madam, a beg. I no steal anything." But Madame ESI wasn't listening. She saw the growing audience, men in suits pausing their calls, women with market bags craning their necks, and her cruelty swelled like a storm cloud. "Oh, now she's crying," she mocked, adjusting the heavy gold rings on her fingers. "You street children are all the same, begging, stealing, making our city dirty. Why don't you go to an orphanage?" "Oh, I forgot. You like this life? No rules, just filth." Amma's chest tightened, anger flaring through her hunger. "You no know me," she shouted, her voice shaking but loud. "You no know why I day street. You no know wetin I don pass through." The crowd gasped, some chuckling at the audacity of this ragged girl talking back to a big madam. Madame ESI's face twisted, her painted nails digging into her palms. "How dare you?" she hissed, and with a sudden shove, she sent Amma sprawling into a muddy puddle by the roadside. The basin tipped, spilling sachet water into the dirt, and Amma's few coins scattered like lost dreams. "She tried to rob me," Madame ESI screamed, pointing a trembling finger. "This beggar attacked me. Somebody call the police." "No!" Amma sobbed, scrambling to her knees. Her wrapper was soaked, her hands smeared with mud as she grabbed at the wet plastic bags floating in the puddle. "I no do anything. I just want food," the onlookers muttered, some pulling out phones to record, their faces a mix of pity and amusement. A burly security guard pushed through the crowd, his baton swinging at his side, his eyes hard as stones. "You again," he growled, recognizing Amma from her endless days hawking nearby. "Time to go, troublemaker." Amma's heart pounded. She snatched her basin and bolted, her bare feet slapping against the wet ground as she darted into a narrow alley. The guard's shouts faded behind her, swallowed by the city's roar, but Madame Si's words echoed in her mind. Dirty, thief, filth. Tears blurred her vision, but she didn't stop. She couldn't. Not when the hunger still gnawed at her, sharper than ever. The alleys of Accra twisted like a maze, their walls stained with years of rain and neglect. Amma crouched behind a stack of rotting crates, her breath ragged, her soaked wrapper clinging to her shivering body. The sun had dipped below the skyline, painting the city in shades of orange and gray, but the heat lingered, thick and suffocating. Her stomach ached, a hollow scream she couldn't silence, and the few coins she'd lost to the puddle haunted her thoughts. She'd escaped the guard, but safety was a fleeting thing on these streets. Other kids, hawkers like her, called out from a nearby corner, their voices sharp with hunger and mischief. "Amma, come join us. We go share," they yelled, but she shook her head, clutching her empty basin. She'd tried that before. Sharing meant losing everything to quicker hands and sharper tongues. Then it hit her, a warm, spicy scent drifting through the air, tugging at her senses like a lifeline. Jollof rice, grilled fish, the kind of food she'd only dreamed of. Her mouth watered, and her legs moved before her mind caught up, pulling her toward the source, the back of Golden Palm, a fancy restaurant where big men and their wives dined in air-conditioned luxury. Amma crept closer, her bare feet silent on the cracked pavement. The trash bins loomed ahead, overflowing with bags of discarded food, half-eaten meals the rich tossed without a thought. "Always something good here," she whispered, glancing around to make sure no staff lingered nearby. "I just need to be fast." She adjusted the torn cap on her head, her tangled braids spilling out, and dug into the bin with trembling hands. Her fingers brushed a plastic container. Inside, a piece of fried plantain, still warm. "If dem know how much dem waste while we day hungry," she muttered, tucking it into her pocket. The smell from the kitchen window above was torture. Pounded yam, egusi stew, a feast she'd never taste fresh. Then, a clatter of plates made her freeze. She peeked up, her nose pressed to the foggy glass. Inside, cooks in crisp white uniforms darted about, their voices a hum of orders and laughter. And there, slipping through the chaos, was a woman in a red dress, her heels clicking like gunfire on the tiled floor. Amma squinted. Madame Ngozi, wife of Kwame Boateng, the big businessman whose face grinned from billboards across Accra. What she day do here? Amma wondered, her heart thudding. Madame Ngozi moved with purpose, her handbag gleaming under the lights. She stopped at a counter, where a waiter plated a steaming dish. Then, quick as a snake, she pulled out a small vial, dark liquid glinting inside, and tipped a few drops onto the food. Her gloved hands didn't shake, her face calm as if she were seasoning a stew. Amma's blood ran cold. "Poison," she whispered, her voice barely a breath. "She day poison am." The air behind Golden Palm thickened with the scent of danger, sharp and acrid, cutting through the warm aroma of jollof rice and grilled fish. Amma's heart hammered in her chest, a frantic drumbeat that drowned out the hum of the kitchen. She pressed her small body against the damp wall, her eyes locked on Madame Ngozi as the woman slipped the vial back into her handbag with the ease of someone hiding a petty secret. The red dress swished as she turned, her heels clicking a victorious rhythm, and then she was gone, vanishing through a side door like a shadow swallowed by the night. Amma's mind raced, her thoughts a tangled mess of fear and disbelief. Poison. She put poison in the food. The words looped in her head, heavy as stones, sinking deeper with every breath. She knew Kwame Boateng, not by face, but by name, by the stories that floated through Accra's streets like dust on the wind. The man who built half the city's markets, whose billboards promised jobs and prosperity. And now his wife was trying to kill him. Why? Amma didn't have the answer, but she knew one thing. If that food reached him, he'd be dead before the moon rose high. She clutched the piece of plantain in her pocket, its warmth a fleeting comfort against the cold dread creeping up her spine. "I have to do something," she whispered, her voice trembling but firm. "I can't just stand here and let him die." Her legs wobbled as she pushed away from the wall, the hunger that had gnawed at her all day now drowned by a surge of adrenaline. She wasn't strong, wasn't smart like the schoolgirls in their pressed uniforms, but she'd seen enough suffering on these streets to know she couldn't turn away. Amma darted around the building, her bare feet splashing through puddles left by an earlier rain. The front of Golden Palm loomed ahead, its glass doors gleaming under golden lights, a world of wealth she'd never dared enter. Men in tailored igbatas and women in glittering head wraps swept inside, their laughter floating out like a taunt. She hesitated, her ragged wrapper and muddy hands a stark contrast to their polished perfection. "They'll chase me out," she thought, her chest tightening. "But I have to try." She took a deep breath, squared her thin shoulders, and pushed through the doors. The cool blast of air conditioning hit her like a slap, and the chatter of the dining room swallowed her small gasp. Crystal chandeliers sparkled overhead, casting light on tables draped in white cloth, where waiters glided with trays of food she could only dream of. Her eyes scanned the room, frantic, until they landed on him, Kwame Boateng, seated at a center table, his broad frame unmistakable even from a distance. He laughed with a group of men, his deep voice booming, oblivious to the danger steaming in front of him.
"Please, sure."
Amma shouted, her voice cracking as she stumbled forward. "Don't eat that food. Your wife, she put poison inside." The words burst out, raw and desperate, slicing through the hum of conversation like a machete. The room fell silent, a hush so sudden it felt like the air had been sucked out. Every head turned, eyes wide with shock or narrowed with suspicion. Kwame froze, his fork hovering over the dish, steam curling up in sinister wisps. "What did you say, girl?" he asked, his voice low, dangerous. Amma's knees shook, but she pressed on, her hands clenched into fists. "I saw her, sa. Madame Gozi. She pour something bad in your food. I swear, I no lie." Murmurs erupted, a wave of disbelief rolling through the crowd. "Who's this dirty child?" a woman in a green geli hissed. "How she even enter here?" a man muttered, his gold watch glinting as he waved a dismissive hand. Then, a shadow loomed, a security guard, his bulk filling the space between Amma and Kwame, his face twisted with anger. "You dey mad?" he barked, grabbing her arm with a grip that made her wince. "You think you fit come here, shout nonsense? Out now." He dragged her back, her bare feet scraping the polished floor, but she twisted, her voice rising in panic. "No, a beg. Listen to me. He go die if he eat am," she screamed, tears spilling down her cheeks. But the guard's hold tightened, and the crowd's murmurs turned to laughter, sharp, mocking sounds that stabbed at her heart. Kwame set the fork down, his brow furrowing as he stared at her. "Wait," he said, raising a hand. "Let her talk. Who sent you? Nobody send me, sa." Amma pleaded, her voice hoarse. "I see am with my own eyes your wife, she." Her words were cut off as another guard joined the first, yanking her toward the doors. "Troublemaker," one snarled. "You want spoil business for here?" Amma struggled, her small frame no match for their strength, but her eyes stayed on Kwame, begging him to believe her. "Please, sa," she whispered as they hauled her out, the glass doors slamming shut behind her. Through the blur of tears, she saw him pick up the fork again, and her heart sank like a stone into the sea. The night air hit Amma like a wall, thick with the scent of diesel and dust, as the guards tossed her onto the pavement outside Golden Palm. She landed hard, her knees scraping against the rough ground, her basin clattering beside her. The laughter from inside echoed in her ears, a cruel chorus that drowned out her ragged sobs. She'd failed. Kwame Boateng would eat that poison, and no one, not the guards, not the fancy people, cared what a street girl had to say. But then, a crash split the air, glass shattering, followed by a scream that pierced the night. Amma scrambled to her feet, her pulse racing as she peered through the restaurant's doors. Inside, chaos erupted. Kwame clutched his throat, his chair toppled behind him, his face twisting in agony as he crumpled to the floor. Plates smashed, women shrieked, and men shouted for help, their polished calm shattering like the glass at their feet. "He chop am," Amma gasped, her hands flying to her mouth. "The poison," She'd been too late to stop it, but maybe not too late to save him. Her mind spun, fear and guilt clawing at her insides. Can't let him die. Not because dem no believe me. She darted back toward the entrance, her bare feet pounding the pavement. But the guards blocked her path, their faces hard with fury. You caused this? One roared, swinging his baton. Amma ducked, the wood whistling past her head, and slipped through a gap between them, her small size her only weapon. She burst into the dining room, the air thick with panic, and dropped to her knees beside Kwame. His eyes rolled back, sweat beading on his forehead as his body jerked in violent spasms. Help me, Amma cried, her voice breaking as she grabbed his arm. He day die. Somebody, a beg. But the crowd backed away, their faces a mix of horror and disgust, as if she were the poison itself. Get away from him, you witch! A woman screamed, her voice shrill. You do this to him. No! Amma shouted, tears streaming down her muddy face. I try to warn Am. His wife, Madame Gozi. She put poison. I see Am. A waiter shoved through, his tray crashing to the floor. Move, girl! He barked, but Amma clung to Kwame, her small hands trembling as she tried to steady him. His breathing was shallow, a rasping wheeze that sent ice through her veins. We need hospital, she yelled. Now a beg. The maitre d', a tall man with a mustache like a broom, stormed over, his face red with rage. You no fit stay here. Police go come for you. He grabbed her shoulder, but Amma twisted free, her eyes blazing. If he die, nah your fault, she spat, her voice raw with desperation. I go take Am myself. With strength she didn't know she had, she hooked Kwame's arm over her shoulders, dragging his heavy frame toward the doors. He groaned, his head lolling, but he was still alive. Barely. The guards lunged again, but the crowd's chaos slowed them, people shoving, shouting, filming with their phones. Amma slipped through, Kwame's weight crushing her small frame, her legs burning with every step. Hold on, Sa, she whispered, her voice a plea. I go save you, I swear. Outside, the night swallowed them, the city's noise a dull roar as she stumbled forward, Kwame's rasping breaths her only guide. She didn't know how she'd get him to the hospital, but she knew she couldn't stop. Not now, not ever. The streets of Accra twisted into a labyrinth of shadows as Amma dragged Kwame Boateng away from Golden Palm, her thin arms screaming under his weight. His expensive suit was soaked with sweat, the fabric sticking to her muddy hands, and his head slumped against her shoulder, his breaths coming in shallow, ragged bursts. The city lights flickered in the distance, but here, in the narrow alleys, darkness ruled, broken only by the faint glow of street lamps and the occasional glare of passing headlights. Amma's bare feet splashed through puddles, the cold water soaking her wrapper, but she barely felt it. Her mind was a storm, fear, guilt, and a fierce determination swirling together. He no go die, she told herself, her jaw clenched tight. Not if I fit help Am. She didn't know much about poison, but she'd seen enough street boys collapse from bad brews to know time was slipping away like sand through her fingers. Where we day go? Kwame mumbled, his voice weak, his eyes half open but unfocused. He stumbled, nearly pulling them both down, but Amma tightened her grip, her small body straining to keep him upright. Hospital, Sa, she panted, her breath hitching.
Korlebu, no far.
You go make Am. A beg hold on. Her voice trembled, but she forced it steady, as much for him as for herself. The alley stretched ahead, lined with crumbling walls and piles of trash that reeked of rot. A stray dog lunged from the shadows, its teeth bared, barking furiously. Amma's heart leapt into her throat, but she didn't flinch. Go away, she shouted, stomping her foot, her free hand waving wildly. The dog snarled, then slunk back, its yellow eyes glinting in the dark. Kwame groaned, his legs buckling again, and Amma staggered, her knees scraping the ground. No, Sa, no fall, she cried, hauling him up with a strength born of desperation. We close, I swear. But the truth gnawed at her. Coral Boo was still blocks away, and every step felt like a mile. Sirens wailed in the distance, sharp and piercing, and Amma's stomach dropped. Police, they'd be coming from the restaurant, looking for her, the troublemaker who'd caused the chaos. If they caught her now, they'd never listen. She glanced back, her eyes wide, and saw red and blue lights flashing at the alley's mouth. "No time," she muttered, veering into a narrower path, the walls closing in tight. The shortcut was a risk, flooded from the rains, littered with broken bottles and jagged metal. Her feet sank into the murky water, sharp edges slicing her soles. But she bit back the pain, her focus locked on Kwame. "You strong, Sa," she whispered, her voice cracking. "You big man. You fit fight this." A group of boys, street toughs with hard eyes, blocked the path ahead, their laughter cutting through the night. "Wettin' you carry, small girl?" one jeered, stepping closer. "Big load for small thief. He sick." Amma snapped, her voice fierce despite the tremble in her chest. "Move, a beg or he die." The boys hesitated, caught off guard by her fire, and she pushed past, Kwame's weight dragging her forward. The hospital lights finally flickered into view, a beacon through the haze, and Amma's heart surged with hope. "We day reach, Sa," she gasped, her legs shaking but refusing to give out. "Just small more." Kwame's head lolled, his breathing fainter now, and she choked back a sob. "No give up on me," she begged silently, her tears mixing with the sweat on her face. "I no go give up on you." The glass doors of Coral Boo Hospital loomed ahead, their cold gleam a stark contrast to the chaos pounding in Amma's chest. She dragged Kwame Boateng forward, his weight a crushing burden on her frail shoulders. His rasping breaths a fragile thread she clung to with every ounce of her will. Her bare feet, bloodied from the alley's jagged edges, left faint red smears on the pavement, but she didn't feel the sting, only the fire of desperation burning through her veins. The hospital lights flickered like a promise, so close yet maddeningly out of reach. "Help! A beg! Somebody!" Amma shouted as she stumbled into the lobby, her voice echoing off the tiled walls. The emergency room buzzed with life, nurses rushing with clipboards, patients groaning on stretchers, the air thick with antiseptic and fear. Kwame's body sagged against her, his legs giving out, and she dropped to her knees, cradling his head as his eyes fluttered shut. "He day die. Poison. Him wife put poison." Heads turned, a ripple of shock cutting through the clamor. A security guard, a towering man with a scowl carved into his face, strode toward her, his boots thudding like a judge's gavel. "Wetin you day do here, eh?" he barked, his eyes raking over her muddy wrapper and tangled hair. "This no be place for beggars. Out now." "No!" Amma cried, her voice raw with panic. "He's sick, look at am. He need doctor, a beg." She tightened her grip on Kwame, his sweat soaking through her hands, his skin turning a sickly gray. The guard lunged, grabbing her arm, but then Kwame convulsed, his body jerking violently, a guttural choke escaping his lips, and the man froze, uncertainty flashing in his hard eyes. "Move!" a nurse shouted, pushing through the crowd with a stretcher. Her uniform was crisp, her face lined with exhaustion, but her hands moved with purpose as she knelt beside Kwame. "What happened to him?" she demanded, her gaze flicking to Amma. "Poison," Amma gasped, tears streaming down her cheeks. "I see his wife, Madame Ngozi. She put Am in his food at Golden Palm. I try to stop Am, but he chop him already." The nurse's eyes widened, but before she could respond, a new voice sliced through the chaos, smooth, sharp, and dripping with venom. "What is this nonsense?" Madame Ngozi stepped into the lobby, her red dress a blaze of color against the sterile white, her heels clicking with the confidence of a queen. Her face was a mask of grief, but her eyes, cold and calculating, locked onto Amma like a hawk spotting prey. "My husband, my Kwame. What has this filthy girl done to him?" Amma's heart stopped, her breath catching in her throat. "She here. She come to finish Am." "No!" she shouted, scrambling to her feet. "You lie. I see you, you put the poison. I try to save Am." The crowd murmured, a wave of doubt rolling through the room. Madame Ngozi pressed a hand to her chest, her gold bangles clinking as she let out a theatrical sob. "Me? Poison my own husband? This child? She's a thief, a liar. She must have done this to rob him. Look at her, a street rat." Her voice trembled just enough to sound convincing, her tears glistening like polished gems. "She lying," Amma screamed, her small fists clenched. "I no thief. I see Am with my own eyes. She pour black thing in his food." But her words drowned in the rising tide of disbelief. The guard seized her again, his grip bruising, and dragged her back as nurses wheeled Kwame away, his body limp on the stretcher. "You day cause trouble," the guard growled, shoving her toward the doors. "Police go handle you now." "No, a beg," Amma pleaded, twisting in his hold, her eyes fixed on Kwame's fading form. "He go die if you no believe me. She go kill him finish." But the doors slammed shut, and the last she saw was Madame Ngozi's silhouette, her lips curling into a faint, triumphant smile. The police station smelled of sweat and stale coffee, its concrete walls closing in around Amma like a trap. She sat on a hard bench in a small holding room, her wrists raw from the handcuffs they'd slapped on her, her muddy wrapper clinging to her shivering body. The fluorescent light buzzed overhead, casting harsh shadows that danced across her tear-streaked face. She pulled her knees to her chest, her mind a storm of fear and fury. "Dem no believe me. Dem think I do am." The thought gnawed at her, a bitter ache deeper than hunger. The door creaked open, and a burly officer stepped in, his uniform crisp, his eyes cold as the metal cuffs on her wrists. "So, small girl," he began, his voice heavy with disdain. "You think you fit fool us, eh? You bring big man like Kwame Boateng to hospital shouting about poison. Wetin you really do to him?" Amma lifted her head, her gaze steady despite the tremble in her chest. "I no do nothing bad," she said, her voice low but firm. "I see his wife, Madame Ngozi. She put poison in his food at Golden Palm. I try to warn Am, but he chop Am before I fit stop Am. I take Am to hospital to save him, not to hurt Am." The officer scoffed, crossing his arms. "You, a dirty hawker, see Madame Ngozi, big woman with money and class, poison her husband? You think we be fools?" He leaned closer, his breath sour with tobacco. "Why you day lie, eh? You want rob him, abi?" "No!" Amma's voice cracked, her hands balling into fists. "I no thief. I sell water all day. I no need rob anybody. I see Am with my own eyes. She takes small bottle, pour black thing in the food. I swear by God." He laughed, a harsh sound that echoed off the walls. "Swear by God, eh? Street girl like you know no God. We hear this story before, children like you working for thieves causing trouble. You lucky we no beat the truth out of you yet." Amma's stomach twisted, fear clawing at her insides, but she held his gaze, her chin trembling. "Beat me if you want, but I no go lie. She day evil, she want him dead. Ask the waiters at Golden Palm. Dem fit see her in the kitchen." The door swung open again, and Madame Ngozi swept in, her presence filling the room like a dark cloud. Her red dress shimmered under the light, her face a perfect mask of sorrow, but her eyes glinted with malice as they fixed on Amma. "Officers," she said, her voice breaking artfully. "This girl, she's a criminal. I was at the restaurant with my husband, but I step out to take a call. She must have sneak in, put something in his food to steal from him. My poor Kwame." She dabbed at her eyes with a silk handkerchief, her sobs a performance that turned Amma's blood cold. "You liar!" Amma shouted, lunging forward, but the officer shoved her back, the bench slamming into her spine. "You do Am. I see you. I know your face from the billboards. You no fit hide this." Madame Ngozi's lips twitched, a flicker of a smile she quickly buried. "See how she lies?" she said, turning to the officer. "She's dangerous. A street rat with no shame. Please, lock her up. I need to be with my husband now." The officer nodded, his face set in stone. "We go keep her here. If Mr. Boateng die, nah murder charge for you, small girl." He grabbed her arm, dragging her toward the cell, her cries echoing down the hall. "Why nobody believe me?" Amma whispered to herself as the bars clanged shut, her small body sinking to the cold floor. "Because I be nobody," she thought, tears burning her eyes. "But I know the truth, and I no go stop fighting." The hospital room was a cocoon of silence, broken only by the steady beep of machines tracking Kwame Boateng's fragile life. He lay still, his broad chest rising and falling in shallow breaths, his once commanding presence reduced to a pale shadow beneath the white sheets. Nurses moved like ghosts around him, their faces tight with worry, but the antidote they'd pumped into his veins was working, slowly, painfully, pulling him back from the edge. Amma's words haunted him, faint echoes in the fog of his mind. "Your wife, she put poison inside." He'd heard her, that ragged girl with fire in her voice, but the memory was a blur. Pain, panic, and then darkness. Now, as his eyes fluttered open, the ceiling tiles swam into focus, and a question burned through the haze. Who saved me? Mr. Boateng, a doctor said, his voice soft as he adjusted in 4-line. You're awake. You've been through hell, but you're stable now. Poison. Someone tried to kill you. Kwame's throat rasped as he spoke, his voice a weak croak. A girl. She warned me. Where's she day? The doctor frowned, exchanging a glance with a nurse. No girl visit you, sir. Only your wife, Madame Ngozi. She been here, worried sick. No, Kwame muttered, his brow furrowing. She shout. She knows something. Find her. A beg. His head throbbed, but the girl's face, dirty, desperate, brave, flashed in his mind. A lifeline he couldn't let go. Across town, Amma sat in her cell, her knees drawn tight, her spirit battered but unbroken. The cold seeped into her bones, but worse was the weight of helplessness pressing down on her. He alive or he dead? She wondered, her heart aching. If he die, dem go say nami. If he live, she go try again. The thought of Madame Ngozi's cruel smile twisted her gut, a venomous promise of more pain to come. At the hospital, a shadow slipped into Kwame's room, silent as death. Madame Ngozi stood over his bed, her red dress swapped for a dark coat, her gloved hand clutching the same vial from before. You too stubborn, Kwame? She whispered, her voice a hiss of silk and steel. But I no go lose everything because of you. She uncorked the vial, the dark liquid glinting like a curse, and leaned closer, her breath steady with intent. Footsteps echoed in the hall, sharp and sudden, and she froze. The doctor burst in, his eyes narrowing as he caught her mid-motion. Madame Ngozi? Wetin you dey do? He demanded, his voice tight with suspicion. She straightened, the vial vanishing into her pocket, her face morphing into a mask of concern. Oh, doctor, she exclaimed, her voice trembling. I just come to see my husband. I so worried. He go be okay. The doctor's gaze lingered, distrust flickering in his eyes, but he turned to Kwame. He need rest, madam. Please wait outside. She nodded, her smile tight, and swept out, her mind already spinning a new plan. Kwame stirred, his eyes half open, and whispered, The girl. Find her. Before slipping back into the dark. The hospital room glowed faintly with the dawn's first light, seeping through the blinds to cast long shadows across Kwame Boateng's bed. He lay still, his breathing steadier now, but his mind churned like a storm over the Atlantic. Fragments of memory clawed their way back, pain searing his throat, the restaurant's golden lights blurring, and a voice, small but fierce, cutting through the chaos. Don't eat that food! The girl. She'd risked everything, and he'd almost lost it all. Who she be? He wondered, his chest tightening with a debt he couldn't name. Doctor? Kwame rasped as the man in the white coat entered, his voice rough but urgent. The girl, she saved me. Where she day? I need to find her. The doctor hesitated, his pen pausing over the clipboard. Sa, we no know any girl. Police take one street child from here, say she caused trouble, maybe poison you. She day lock up now. Kwame's eyes widened, a spark of anger flaring through his weakness. Lock up? She no poison me. She warned me. My wife. His voice faltered, the weight of suspicion crashing down. Madame Ngozi's face flashed in his mind, her cool smile, her gloved hands hovering too close last night. Find her, a beg. I owe her my life. Across Accra, Amma curled tighter on the cell's cold floor, her knees pressed to her chest, her wrapper stiff with dried mud. The bars loomed like iron teeth, trapping her in a cage of despair. Her stomach growled, but worse was the ache in her heart. Fear that Kwame was dead, that Madame Ngozi had won, that her truth would rot here with her. Nobody believed me, she thought, tears pricking her eyes. But I no go give up. He alive or dead, I fight for what I see. The cell door clanged open, and the burly officer loomed in the frame, his face unreadable. Get up, small girl, he grunted. Somebody wants see you. Amma's pulse quickened, fear and hope warring in her chest, as he yanked her to her feet and marched her down the hall. She stumbled into a stark room, and there he was, Kwame Boateng, leaning on a cane, his suit rumpled but his presence still commanding. His eyes, sharp despite the pallor of his face, locked onto hers, and for a moment, the world held its breath. "You," he said, his voice low, trembling with recognition. "You the one." Amma froze, her throat dry. "Sa, you alive?" she whispered, her voice breaking. Relief flooded her, warm and overwhelming. But fear lingered. Would he blame her too? "Yes, because of you," Kwame said, stepping closer, his cane tapping the floor. "I remember now, you shout, you fight for me. Why dem lock you up?" Tears spilled down Amma's cheeks, her small frame shaking. "Dem no believe me, sa. Your wife, she say I do am. But I see her put poison. I try to save you, I swear." Kwame's jaw tightened, a storm brewing in his gaze. "Ngozi," he muttered, the name a curse on his lips. He turned to the officer, his voice rising like thunder. "Release her now. This girl no be criminal, she my savior. And I go find the truth, you hear?" The officer balked, but Kwame's glare brooked no argument. Minutes later, the cuffs fell from Amma's wrists, and she rubbed the raw skin, her eyes wide with disbelief. Kwame knelt before her, his big hand gentle on her shoulder. "You coming with me, small one? No more street for you. We go make this right." Amma nodded, her heart pounding with a fragile hope she hadn't dared feel in years. As they left the station, the city waking around them, she glanced up at him, a man she'd saved, now her shield. Maybe truth fit win, she thought, clinging to that spark as they drove away. The courtroom in Accra buzzed with tension, its wooden benches packed with onlookers, traders, clerks, even street hawkers who'd heard the tale of the girl and the poison. Amma sat beside Kwame, her hands twisting in the new dress he'd bought her, its bright blue fabric a stark contrast to the rags she'd worn for years. She felt small under the high ceiling, the judge's stern gaze, the weight of a justice she'd never trusted. But Kwame's steady presence anchored her, his hand resting on her shoulder like a promise. Across the room, Madame Ngozi stood in the dock, her red dress swapped for a muted gray outfit, but her chin remained high, her eyes glinting with defiance. She'd woven a web of lies, claiming Amma was a thief, a pawn in a gang, that she'd poisoned Kwame for profit. Her lawyers, sleek men in tailored suits, spun tales of her innocence, her charity, her love for her husband. But Kwame and Amma knew the truth, and they'd spent weeks gathering the cracks in her facade. Bank records, witnesses, a waiter who'd seen her in the kitchen that night. The prosecutor, a wiry man with a voice like a whip, called Kwame to the stand. He rose, his cane tapping a steady rhythm, and faced the room with the strength of a man reborn. "I day eat at Golden Palm," he began, his voice deep and clear. "I trust my wife, Ngozi. She sit with me, smile, talk sweet. Then she leave, say she get call. Next thing, this girl," he pointed to Amma, his eyes softening. "She run in, shout say my food get poison. I no believe her at first, but I chop am, and fire burn my throat. I fall, I nearly die. She drag me to hospital. Fight for me when nobody listen." The crowd murmured, heads turning to Amma, who shrank under their stares. Kwame pressed on, his voice rising. "I wake up, and Ngozi come, acting like she care. But I see her hand, I feel her cold. She try again, I know am. This girl save me, and my wife. She the one way want me dead." Madame Ngozi leapt up, her voice a shriek. "Lies. He day confuse. Sickness mess him head. This street rat, she do am. She want my money, my life." Her lawyers hushed her, but the damage was done. Her mask slipped, revealing the venom beneath. The waiter took the stand next, a nervous young man with sweat beading on his brow. "I see Madame Ngozi in the kitchen," he stammered. "She no suppose day there. She pour something in the dish, quick, then leave. I no talk before. Fear hold me, but I swear not true." Bank records followed, secret accounts, payments to shady men. A will Kwame never signed, leaving everything to Ngozi. Piece by piece, her lies unraveled, the courtroom a stage for her downfall. Amma watched, her heart pounding, as the judge's gavel fell, guilty on all counts. Attempted murder, fraud, conspiracy. Madame Ngozi's scream echoed as they dragged her away, her power crumbling like dust in the wind. Kwame squeezed Amma's hand, his voice low. "You see, small one, truth fit win. Justice day slow, but it come." Amma nodded, tears of relief blurring her vision. She no fit hurt nobody again, she thought, the weight of years lifting from her small shoulders. The sun rose over Accra, painting the city in hues of gold and hope, as Amma stood on the balcony of Kwame Boateng's sprawling home. The view stretched wide, rooftops, markets, the sea glinting in the distance, a world she'd once seen only from the dust of the streets. Her blue dress swayed in the breeze, her feet now shod in soft sandals, a far cry from the burning asphalt she'd known. She was still thin, still marked by hunger's scars, but her eyes shone with something new, possibility. Kwame stepped beside her, his cane tapping lightly, his smile warm as the morning light. "You like him here, Amma?" he asked, his voice gentle. She nodded, shy but sure. "Yes, sa, Papa," she corrected, the word strange but sweet on her tongue. "I no believe this fit be my home. I no day fear hunger again." He chuckled, resting a hand on her head. "You save me, Amma. Now I save you. We family now, no more street, no more fear. You go school, you learn, you grow strong. We go do more together." Weeks turned to months and Amma thrived. Tutors came, teaching her letters and numbers, opening doors she'd never dreamed of. She devoured books, her mind a sponge, her laughter filling the house that had once been cold with Ngozi's shadow. Kwame watched her, pride swelling in his chest, a father reborn through the girl who'd given him a second chance. Madame Ngozi's trial had shaken Accra, her disgrace a warning to the powerful. Kwame pressed the police, dug deeper, and her empire of deceit collapsed, property seized, allies exposed, her name a curse on the streets. Justice wasn't just her prison cell. It was the light it shone on the forgotten, the poor, the ones like Amma who'd been dismissed. One evening, as they sat over a meal of jollof and fish, Kwame leaned forward, his eyes bright. "Amma, I get idea. We start something foundation for children like you. No home, no food, no hope. We give dem chance, like you give me." Amma's spoon paused, her heart swelling. "For real, Papa? We fit help dem?" "Yes," he said, his voice firm. "We call Amma's light. You be the spark, I be the fire. Together we change things." Years later, Amma stood before a crowd. No longer a street girl but a young woman, her voice steady as she cut the ribbon for the first Amma's light shelter. Children cheered, boys and girls like she'd been, their eyes wide with dreams. Kwame watched, tears in his eyes, his cane a relic of the past he'd survived. "We rise together," Amma said, her words ringing clear. "Truth win, love win, justice win." And as the sun set, casting its glow over a city forever changed, she knew they'd built more than a shelter. They'd built a legacy, born from a night of poison and a girl who refused to let it win. The years rolled by like the tides along Accra's shores, each one washing away the scars of the past and leaving behind something stronger, brighter. Amma stood at the edge of a sprawling compound on the outskirts of the city, her now 20-year-old frame draped in a vibrant Kent dress, its colors a bold weave of gold, green, and red. The sun blazed overhead, but she didn't feel its sting, not anymore. Her feet, once bare and bloodied, were now cradled in elegant sandals, and her hands, once trembling with hunger, held a pair of scissors poised over a ribbon. Before her stretched the latest triumph of Amma's light, a school and shelter, its walls painted with murals of hope, its gates open to the children of the streets. A crowd gathered, their chatter a lively hum, teachers, volunteers, and dozens of kids with bright eyes and patched clothes, all watching her with a mix of awe and gratitude. Kwame Boateng stood beside her, his hair now streaked with silver, his cane replaced by a steady stride. He'd aged, but the fire in his gaze burned as fierce as ever, fueled by the legacy they'd built together. "You ready, my daughter?" he asked, his voice warm, his hand resting on her shoulder. Amma smiled, a flicker of the shy street girl still lingering in her eyes. "Yes, Papa. This one bigger than me ever dream." She turned to the crowd, her voice rising clear and strong. "Today, we open Amma's Light Academy number 3. This place no be just school, it be home, it be hope. For every child way think dem no get chance, we say, you fit rise. Because me, I rise, and I no rise alone." The scissors snipped, the ribbon fell, and cheers erupted, a wave of joy that shook the dusty ground. Children rushed forward, their laughter a melody Amma had once thought she'd never hear. Not for herself, not for others like her. She watched them stream into the classrooms, their small hands clutching new books, and felt a lump rise in her throat. This na wetin I fight for, she thought, her heart swelling. This na wetin truth and justice fit do. Kwame clapped her back, his grin wide. You see, Amma? You know, just save me that night, you save plenty. This your work now, and it go live long after we gone. She nodded, tears pricking her eyes. But now we work, Papa. You give me this chance. I no fit do am without you. They walked the grounds together, past dormitories with clean beds, a kitchen wafting the scent of fufu and groundnut stew, a playground where kids shrieked with delight on swings she'd never known as a child. Every brick, every smile, was a testament to the night she'd refused to let poison win. Back in the city, Madame Ngozi's name had faded to a whisper, a cautionary tale told in hushed tones. She rotted in a cell, her wealth stripped, her influence dust. But Amma didn't dwell on her, not anymore. The past was a shadow, and she'd chosen the light. She'd graduated secondary school with honors, her tutors marveling at her quick mind. And now she studied at the University of Ghana, her sights set on law. I go fight for dem way no get voice, she'd vowed, and every step brought her closer. That night, as stars glittered over Accra, Amma sat with Kwame on the balcony of their home, a plate of plantain between them. Papa, she said, her voice soft, you think dem go remember us? This work we day do. Kwame chuckled, his eyes crinkling. Dem no fit forget you, Amma. You be fire, small spark way turn to blaze. Me, I just happy to watch you shine. She smiled, the weight of his words settling deep. The future stretched wide before her, a canvas of possibility painted with the courage she'd found in a dark alley years ago. 10 years later, Amma stood at a podium in Lagos, Nigeria, her 30-year-old self a vision of strength and grace. Her Kent suit shimmered under the conference lights, her braids swept into an elegant updo, and her voice carried the weight of experience as she addressed a sea of faces. Activists, educators, politicians from across West Africa. Behind her, a banner read, Amma's Light, empowering the forgotten. The foundation had grown beyond Ghana's borders, its schools and shelters dotting Nigeria, Sierra Leone, and beyond, a network of hope for the region's poorest children. 20 years ago, she began, her tone steady but laced with emotion. I day sell water on across streets, barefoot, hungry, invisible. One night, I see evil, poison meant to kill a man way no know me. I fight to save him, but dem call me thief, lock me up, say my word no mean nothing. But truth win that day, and from that truth we build this. She gestured to the screen behind her, flashing images of smiling kids, bustling classrooms, thriving communities. Amma's Light no be just for me, it be for every child way the world forget. We prove say justice fit live, say love fit grow, say tomorrow fit be better. The room erupted in applause, a thunderous roar that shook Amma to her core. She'd earned her law degree, fought cases for the voiceless, street hawkers, orphans, women crushed by power, and won. But this movement was her heart's work. Kwame sat in the front row, his face lined with age but beaming with pride, his applause the loudest of all. Beside him sat a young girl, Efua, an orphan they'd adopted years ago, now a teenager with Amma's fire in her eyes. Later, at the gala dinner, Kwame pulled Amma aside, his voice low. You see wetin you do, my daughter? This no be small thing. You change lives, hundreds, thousands. I proud pass anything. Amma hugged him, her eyes misty. Now we, Papa, you teach me say one person fit make difference, but together we fit change the world. They laughed, the sound mingling with the clink of glasses and the hum of celebration. Back in Ghana, Amma's Light Academy No. 1 had become a flagship, a model of education and care, its graduates stepping into universities, businesses, even politics. Amma visited often, her presence a spark for the kids who saw her as proof their dreams weren't foolish. She'd walk the halls, her sandals tapping the same rhythm Kwame's cane once had, and tell her story, raw, real, a beacon they could hold on to. One evening, as she sat with Efua under a baobab tree on the compound, the girl asked, Auntie Amma, you ever think say you go stop fighting? Amma smiled, her gaze distant. No, Efua, the fight no end. Hunger, pain, injustice, dem still day. But we light the way one step at a time. You go carry this fire too one day. Efua nodded, her young face set with determination. I go do am, Auntie. For you, for Papa, for all of us. The sun dipped low over Accra, its golden rays bathing the city in a farewell glow, as Amma stood before Kwame's grave. He passed quietly in his sleep at 75, his heart finally resting after a life of battles and triumphs. The headstone read, Kwame Boateng, father, fighter, founder of Amma's Light. Amma, now 40, knelt beside it, her fingers tracing the words, her eyes wet but steady. You see me through, Papa, she whispered. I no let you down. She'd buried him with honors, dignitaries, former street kids turned leaders, a crowd that stretched beyond the cemetery's gates. His death had shaken her, a void no success could fill, but his spirit lived in every brick of their work. Amma's Light spanned 10 countries now, its reach a testament to their shared dream. She'd become a name whispered with reverence, lawyer, advocate, mother to Efua and countless others she'd lifted from the dust. Rising, Amma walked to the edge of the cemetery, where a new shelter opened that day. Kids swarmed her, their voices a chorus of Auntie Amma. She laughed, hugging them tight, their warmth a balm to her grief. Efua joined her, now a university student, her eyes sharp with the same resolve Amma had carried at her age. Dem say you go run for office one day, Efua teased, nudging her. President Amma, sound good, ABI? Amma chuckled, shaking her head. I no need title, Efua. This, she waved at the kids, the shelter, the legacy. This be my power, but you fit lead anywhere you want. That night, Amma stood on her balcony, the city sprawling before her, its lights a constellation of lives she'd touched. She thought of that night at Golden Palm, the poison, the fear, the fight, and how it had birthed this. Truth win, she mused, her heart full. Justice win. Love win. Decades later, when Amma's own time came, she passed surrounded by family, Efua, her children, the countless souls she'd saved. Her grave beside Kwame's bore a simple epitaph. Amma Boateng, spark of light, flame of justice. And as the sun set on that final day, Amma's light burned on, eternal, unyielding, a flame no darkness could quench, carried by those she taught to rise. The rain lashed Accra in relentless sheets, drumming against the roof of Amma's Light headquarters, a sturdy building nestled in the heart of the city. Amma stood at the window of her office, now 42, her Kent blouse soaked from a dash through the storm. Her braids, streaked with a few strands of gray, hung damp over her shoulders, but her eyes burned with the same fire that had carried her through a lifetime of battles. The desk behind her was piled with reports, budgets, student records, plans for a new shelter in Kumasi, but her gaze was fixed on the horizon, where dark clouds churned like a warning. It had been 2 years since Kwame's passing, and Amma had thrown herself into their shared legacy with a ferocity that surprised even her. Amma's Light now spanned 12 countries, its schools and shelters a lifeline for thousands of children. She'd become a voice for the voiceless, a lawyer who fought in courtrooms, a leader who spoke at global forums, a mother to Efua and the countless kids who called her auntie. But peace, she'd learned, was a fragile thing, easily shattered by the greed of those who'd once bowed to Madame Ngozi's shadow. The door swung open, and Efua burst in, her university jacket dripping, her face tight with urgency. Auntie Amma, you hear the news? She panted, shoving a tablet into Amma's hands. Dem day come for us. Amma's stomach dropped as she scanned the screen, a headline blaring in bold. Amma's Light accused of fraud. Government probe launched. The article claimed anonymous sources had uncovered financial mismanagement, alleging funds meant for the children were siphoned into private accounts. A name leaped out. Kofi Mensah, a rising politician with slick suits and sharper ambitions, leading the charge. Amma's jaw tightened. She knew him, a man who'd once courted Kwame's favor, now sniffing for power in the ruins of their enemies. This na lie, Amma said, her voice low, dangerous. We no steal nothing, every Pasewa go to the children. Who day do this, Efua? Efua's eyes flashed, her youth tempered by the steel Amma had forged in her. Kofi Mensah, he say he go clean up corruption, and we be his target. People day talk, auntie, say maybe you no be the Saint Dem think. Amma's hands clenched, the tablet trembling in her grip. After all I fight for, Dem wan drag me back to the mud. The accusation cut deep, not for her pride, but for the kids who'd suffer if Amma's Light faltered. She'd faced worse, Hunger, handcuffs, a murderer's smile. But this was a storm of a different kind, one that threatened to drown everything she'd built. "We no go let dem win," she said, turning to Efua. "Call the team, lawyers, accountants, everybody. We fight this like we fight before, with truth." The next days blurred into a frenzy. Amma rallied her staff, their faces a mix of fear and resolve as they pored over records, every receipt a shield against the lies. Outside, the city buzzed with rumors. Radio hosts debating her guilt, hawkers whispering her name, protesters gathering with signs demanding justice for the children. Kofi Mensah strutted on TV, his voice smooth as oil, promising to protect the poor by dismantling her work. Amma watched him, her blood boiling, recognizing the same venom she'd seen in Madame Ngozi's eyes years ago. Late one night, as thunder rumbled overhead, Amma sat alone, her office lit by a single lamp. Papers littered the floor, her head pounding, but her spirit refused to break. "Dem think I go run," she thought, her lips curling into a defiant smile. "But I no be that small girl again. I stand tall now." She picked up a photo from the desk, her and Kwame at the first shelter's opening, his grin wide, her eyes shy but bright. "You day with me, Papa," she whispered. "We go win this too." The hearing room in Accra's government complex was a cauldron of tension, its walls lined with stern officials and eager reporters. Amma sat at the defense table, her Kent suit a bold splash of color against the gray suits of Kofi Mensah's team. Efua flanked her, her law books open, her young face set with a determination that mirrored Amma's own. Across the room, Kofi lounged, his smirk sharp as a blade, his eyes glinting with the arrogance of a man who thought he'd already won. The lead investigator, a wiry man with a pinched face, opened the proceedings, his voice dripping with accusation. "Madam Amma Boteng, you stand accused of diverting funds from Amma's light, millions of sadies meant for vulnerable children, gone into your pockets. What you get to say?" Amma rose, her chin high, her voice ringing clear. "I say na lie. Every pasewa we raise go to the children, food, books, roofs over dem heads. I no take nothing for myself, and I get proof. You want talk fraud? Look at the man way point finger, Kofi Mensah. He day build mansion while we build schools." The room erupted, gasps and murmurs rippling through the crowd. Kofi shot to his feet, his face twisting. "You dare accuse me? You, a street rat who climb up on lies? We get evidence, bank transfers, witnesses. Show 'em then," Amma challenged, her eyes locking with his. "Show the world your truth, and I go show mine." The investigator presented doctored ledgers, accounts Amma had never seen, numbers twisted to paint her a thief. But her team fought back, lawyers unveiling pristine records, volunteers testifying to every sadie spent, children from the shelters stepping forward, their voices small but fierce. "Auntie Amma save me," a boy named Kojo said, his patched shirt a badge of his past. "She no thief. She give us life." Kofi's witnesses faltered, their stories crumbling under cross-examination. Bribed men with shaky hands, paid to lie. Then Efua dropped the hammer. Documents linking Kofi to shady deals, land grabs funded by missing government money, a trail leading back to his campaign. The room hushed, the tide turning as the investigator's face paled. Amma took the stand again, her voice steady but blazing. 20 years ago, I see poison meant to kill a man, and I fight to stop Dem call me liar, lock me up, but truth win. Now you want poison my work, steal hope from children way no get nothing. But I no go let you. Amma's light nah for dem, not for your greed." The crowd cheered, a roar that shook the walls, and Kofi's smirk faded, his eyes darting as his allies shrank back. The investigator banged his gavel, but the verdict was clear before he spoke. Kofi's probe collapsed, his name tainted, his power slipping like sand. Amma walked out, Efua at her side, the rain outside now a gentle drizzle, washing the city clean. Weeks later, Amma stood on the steps of Amma's Light headquarters, the sun breaking through the clouds. A crowd gathered to celebrate their victory. Kofi Mensah faced charges now, his mansion seized, his lies exposed, a mirror of Madame Ngozi's fall decades before. Amma's name shone brighter, her work unshaken, her resolve a beacon for a city weary of corruption. She addressed the people, her voice a mix of steel and warmth. "Dem try to break us, but we stand tall. Amma's light no be just me. It be all of us way believe say justice fit live. We go keep fighting, hunger, fear, lies, because every child deserve light. Efua hugged her, whispering, "You too strong, auntie. Papa go proud pass anything." Amma smiled, her heart full, and handed Efua a folder. Plans for a new shelter in Lagos, the next step in their endless march. Years later, Amma sat under the baobab tree at the first academy, her hair fully gray now, her hands weathered but steady. Kids played around her, their laughter a song of resilience, and Efua, now a lawyer herself, sat beside her, her own daughter on her lap. "You start this, auntie," Efua said, "and it no go end." Amma nodded, her eyes tracing the horizon.
Naso, Efua.
"The fire we light, it burn forever. Through you, through dem." She closed her eyes, feeling Kwame's presence in the breeze, knowing their legacy was safe, a flame no storm could snuff out. The sun dipped low over Accra, casting a fiery glow across the city. As Amma stood on the balcony of Amma's Light headquarters, her 60-year-old frame silhouetted against the twilight. Her Kent dress, now a tapestry of her life's triumphs, fluttered in the evening breeze, and her gray braids framed a face etched with wisdom and weariness. Below, the streets buzzed with life, hawkers calling, cars honking, children laughing. But her eyes were fixed on a storm brewing in the distance, not of clouds, but of men and malice. Decades had passed since Kofi Mensah's fall, and Amma's Light had grown into a towering force, schools, shelters, clinics spanning 15 countries, a lifeline for millions. Amma had become a legend, her name whispered in reverence from Accra to Abuja, a symbol of hope forged from the ashes of a street girl's fight. But legends draw enemies, and now, a new threat loomed: Chief Victor Okoro, a billionaire with oil-stained hands and a hunger for control. He'd set his sights on Amma's Light, claiming its land for a megaproject, a glittering mall to line his pockets while burying her legacy under concrete. Efua stormed into the office, her 40-year-old face tight with fury, her lawyer's briefcase slamming onto the desk. "Auntie Amma, he no go stop," she said, her voice trembling with rage. "Okoro bribed the council. Dem sign order to seize the first academy. Say it public interest. Dem go bulldoze em next week if we no fight." Amma's heart clenched, a sharp pang cutting through her calm. The first academy where it all start. She saw it in her mind, Kwame's grin at the ribbon cutting, the kid's wide eyes, her own trembling hands holding hope for the first time. "He no fit take am," she said, her voice low, a steel edge beneath the softness. "That place na my soul, Efua. We no go let him fall." The next days were a whirlwind of war. Amma rallied her team, lawyers, activists, former students now leaders in their own right. Her office a battlefield of maps, legal briefs, and desperate plans. Outside, Okoro's machine roared to life, protesters paid to smear her name, headlines screaming Amma's greed blocks progress. His oily voice on radio promising jobs while his bulldozers idled at the academy's gates. Amma stood firm, her spirit a fortress, but doubt gnawed at her edges. "I old now," she thought, her hands trembling as she gripped Kwame's photo. "Fit I fight this one?" Late one night, as rain hammered the roof, Amma sat alone, her lamp flickering. She traced the photo's edges, whispering, "Papa, I tired, but I no go let dem kill what we build." A tear fell, but her jaw set hard. She'd faced poison, handcuffs, lies. This was just another blade to dodge. She stood, her resolve aflame rekindled, and called Efua. "We go court tomorrow. We show dem who we be." The courtroom was a crucible, its air thick with tension as Amma faced Chief Okoro. He loomed at the plaintiff's table, his tailored suit gleaming, his smirk a dagger aimed at her heart. The judge, a stern woman with gray eyes, banged her gavel, and the battle began. Okoro's lawyers spun a tale of progress thwarted, claiming Amma hoarded land for pride, not purpose. But Amma rose, her voice a thunderclap in the silence. 40 years ago, I see a man poisoned, and I fight to save him," she said, her eyes blazing. "Dem call me nothing, but I build something, hope for children way no get nobody. Chief Okoro one take that, bury em under him greed. This no be progress, it be theft. I bring proof, every brick, every sadie, every life we save." Efua unleashed their arsenal. Deeds proving the land's purpose, testimonies from graduates now doctors, teachers, engineers, a ledger of Okoro's bribes to councilmen. The crowd gasped, Okoro's smirk faltering as his lies cracked. Amma locked eyes with him, her voice a quiet storm. You think you fit bury me, but I rise every time. This light no go die. The judge's ruling came swift and sharp. Okoro's claim dismissed. The academy saved. His corruption laid bare for arrest. Cheers erupted, but Amma's heart pounded with a deeper victory. Her legacy stood unbroken. Weeks later, Amma walked the grounds of the first academy. Her steps slow, her breath labored. The kids swarmed her, their voices a joyful chorus, but a heaviness settled in her chest. She knew her time was near. She'd fought her final battle, and though she'd won, her body whispered surrender. That night, she gathered Efua and the family, grandkids, adopted children, a tapestry of lives she'd woven. At their home, the air thick with love and quiet grief. "I'm proud of you all," she said, her voice soft but steady, her hands clasping Efua's. "I start with nothing, but I leave with everything, because of you. Keep the light burning, I beg. No let him die." Efua sobbed, her strong facade cracking. "Auntie, you know fit go. We need you, the kids, me, everybody." Amma smiled, her eyes crinkling. "I know go far, Efua. I day with Papa now, watching you. You strong, stronger than me. You carry this now." She squeezed Efua's hand, her grip weak but fierce, then slipped into sleep, her breath fading as the stars blinked awake. The funeral was a sea of faces, thousands from across West Africa, their tears a river of gratitude. Efua stood at the podium, her voice breaking but resolute. "Auntie Amma no be just a woman. She be a fireway light us all. She save Papa Kwame. She save me. She save plenty way no get name. We no go let her light die." They buried her beside Kwame, her headstone simple. Amma Boteng, eternal flame of justice. The kids from the academy laid flowers, their small hands trembling, their futures her final gift. As the sun set, Efua lit a lantern at the grave, its glow a promise against the dark. Years later, Amma's light thrived, 20 countries now. Its schools a cradle for dreamers, its shelters a shield for the lost. Efua led it, her daughter at her side, their fire a mirror of Amma's. The first academy stood tall, a monument to a night of poison turned to purpose, its gates open wide. One evening, an old woman, Kojo's sister, once a street child Amma saved, visited the grave, her hands wrinkled, her eyes wet. "You give us life, Auntie?" she whispered, placing a sachet of water beside the stone. A nod to the girl who'd hawked under the sun. The lantern still burned, its light steady, eternal.